This episode of Unaccountable is brought to you by Keeper. I mean, it's 1099 season soon. As January approaches, it's that time of year where we all start pulling out our hair and gouging out our eyeballs over the administrative workload that is collecting W-9s and issuing 1099s. Well, at this point, you've probably heard of Keeper, maybe from their stark raving fans or the unaccountable host who just gushes over them nonstop. Keeper's a practice management tool that's built to focus on the bookkeeping community and the month-end close process. And Keeper's 1099 tools make it incredibly easy to gather all the W-9s you need and know that when you need to issue a 1099, it's correct. This has personally saved me and my team hours of work each month and years of our life in stress every single year. If there's ever been a better time to save money and use that extra time to grow your business, it's right now. Get started with Keeper by going to unaccountable.co/keeper. That's unaccountable.co/keeper. Welcome to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I am your for-profit failure of a host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the nonprofit Nimrod, Jeremy Van Groll. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was fantastic. Things are well here. How's things in Utah?
Dude, we're good. You know, it's getting cold, it's getting snowy, and we're getting near the end of the year. Like that PTSD is starting to trigger just knowing January's around the corner.
Yeah, I just had a consult call with somebody that's looking for this huge project of I don't know, it's probably like 20 different desktop accounts or desktop QuickBooks that they want to finally put together in one QuickBooks one. And I'm like, we're just going to have to be very cognizant that we're not working on this at all in January. So just give a heads up on that one. But yes, that is definitely sinking in towards the end of the year. You get the January frigidness, but mentally, not like physically.
Yep. And then, you know, me growing our tax side too, it's like, and then there's March, and then there's April, and then there's the rest of the year until October. Man, we're signing up for pain over here. Jeremy, in the news this week, some interesting things. So first question, of the 32 million BOI reports that they're expecting, how many have been submitted so far, according to FinCEN?
Oh, I'm going to go super low. I'm going to say 10%, 3 million.
I'm going to go wrong. Double it, 20%. We're at 6.5 million.
Oof.
Yeah, 6.5 million submitted. Ultimately, dude, like BOI reporting, to me, this is legal stuff. Like, right, filing stuff for clients. I don't want to play in the legal sandbox because if something goes wrong, I don't even want it to look like I'm playing lawyer. But I think this is valuable, at least for both our listeners, because you want an easy win for your clients. Like, you're always like, okay, how do I keep providing value? How do I keep giving them updates that are helpful? Like, remind them, hey, only 20% of businesses have done this so far. Have you? And start tracking which clients have and haven't. Follow up. Like, this is one of those easy follow-ups to just show like, hey, I got your back and I'm trying to make sure you don't get fined. Hey, Jeremy, by the way, if you know of any accounting podcasts that haven't done their filing yet, let me know.
I believe I probably know one, but yeah, I agree with that. And again, we always talk about that. How do you add more value in there? Thankfully, in the nonprofit world, we do not need to do these filings.
I hate you guys.
And we are providing oodles of value already. But yeah, if definitely something, get out there and track and get in front of it. Because I think even though it's totally a legal thing, right? I could see them, if you do not do this, right? By proactively doing it, you're providing value. But if you do not do this, they'd be like, hey, why didn't you tell me I need to do this tax thing? You're my finance guy. And be like, oh, well, it's really not in your books. But, you know, you can't always get lumped in that you should know all things finance to tell us that.
Oh, yeah. The clients assume that you know everything when it comes to payroll rules and government filings, stuff that has nothing to do with accounting. But they're like, well, how come you didn't tell me that there was this requirement to register for family insurance medical leave in the state of Colorado? And it's like, no. Same thing with BOI. Just if you know about it, track it. Followed up with clients, easy wins. One other topic in the news, Jeremy, and this one blew my mind. This is actually like a week and a half old. And by the time this episode drops, it'll be like 2 weeks old. But between August 12th, 23 and April 16th, 24, so about 8 months, right? End of 23, last 4 months of 23, early 24.
Yeah.
Within $10 million, how much did a fraudster group scam the IRS using the Priority Practitioner Service line within 10 million?
I don't even know what that line is. I'm going to say 150 million.
Well, I mean, you lead with the really bad case scenario. Now I get to make it sound not as bad. But $47 million over 8 months that this fraudster ring, they would call into the Practitioner Priority Service line.
Yeah.
And were submitting 4,828 tax returns over that period that were false. Of the 4,828, they caught 4,254 in real time and denied them. That leaves 574 returns that were fraudulent that they got through to the IRS and got 47 million in false refunds. The tax Treasury Inspector General of the tax administration is essentially laying down the law now and just like, hey, we don't have the policies, the procedures in place. There's a whole lot of things that the IRS needs to start doing. And they laid out their recommendations to the IRS. But ultimately, all the recommendations are like provide and train assisters on secure access for digital identities and, more training, restricted access. Part of me is like, we just need to invest in the IRS's friggin' infrastructure. Like, we're slow to process. Yeah. We have poor controls. We just need to revamp that entire system like it were a for-profit company.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I have to think, or at least hope, that they all didn't come from the same like PTIN number, which is the number you need to file things, or same e-file number. Because I got to think that they'd at least have that in place. That'd be like, we received 4,000 returns from this e-file number in the last 3 months. Maybe we should ask some questions.
And no doubt it was probably a Florida man. It's always a Florida man.
Always Florida.
No, that's not news. I am not reporting anything there. But it does not say in the story about over how many practitioners that came through, but rather it was just this fraudster group. Regardless,
nice.
47 million, dude. That's a lucrative. You wonder why people go into being fraudsters and scammers. And when the work is that easy for that lucrative of a return.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is almost an advertisement story of telling people, hey, you want to get into the scamming the government business? Look how successful these people were. And we're not even reporting about it until 6 months after it ended.
Yeah. And like you said, please invest in infrastructure. This can avoid this 100%. Oh, God.
But Jeremy, that's all we got for In the News this week.
All right, Tyler, and I'm excited to bring on another guest, another person that we have gotten to sink down to our level.
How the mighty have fallen.
Yes, the fantastic human who I can call a friend, rockstar bookkeeper owner and chief subscription officer at bookkeepers.com, Heidi Ryder. How are you?
I'm great. Better now that I get to hang out with you guys.
Oh,
How
such
are you?
kind words. Oh, doing well. And yeah, I'm a ton better now that you're here with us. So if you could, I would love for you to give just a brief intro to our moms and the other two people who are bored and decided to listen today.
Well, then we'll start with moms. I am a mom. I am a mom of 4. Each one of my kids, I feel like, has a bookkeeper's birth story. But the most recent one was I just got back from BKX, and the very next day, I had number 4. So that's probably my biggest flex, is that all of my kids have been around my business. So I am a business owner. I've run my firm now for 7.5 years. Started it the day I went into labor with my first kid. So I'll never forget that day. But yeah, I've been running my own firm now for about 7.5 years. I work for bookkeepers.com. I started as curriculum manager just about 1.5 years into my own business, and then worked with that team. The team, of course, as you guys know, is absolutely incredible there. And I've learned so much from each one of them. I love the family that we have there and in our community. And it's just, yeah, it's been a great experience the whole way along. I get to hang out with guys like you and just do a lot of great things. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I know the amount of people that you've helped in your prior role and now in your current role are hopefully listening here and just increasingly appreciative over all the things you guys do there. So yeah, super cool to have you on. All right, and with that, we're going to put you through the gauntlet that is fast figures. Are you ready, Heidi?
No, never, but let's make a fool of ourselves here, shall we?
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
Okay, well, let's dive right into it here. How confident are you feeling, Heidi?
Probably a 10. 10
Ooh.
out of 10%.
Perfect. All right, let's get the clock started and we'll dive right in. What amount did the IRS increase the standard deduction to for married couples filing jointly in 2025?
I don't do taxes. I'm going to say 30,000.
On average, how many feathers are in a turkey's tail fan?
Has anybody counted 100?
Within 50, how many joints does the human body have?
35.
All right, within 2%, what percent of small businesses fail due to cash flow issues?
2%.
You attended the Pensacola Christian College. How many stations of the cross are there?
I have no idea. Oh, I don't even know. I'm not even going to guess on that one.
All right. Accountants who work with healthcare organizations need to be concerned with PHI. This could also be called phi, which is a Greek letter. Within 5, what number of the Greek letter alphabet is phi? 5.
4.
5. Okay. According to HIPAA, how many years are patient records supposed to be retained?
Again, don't know this one. 7.
Swiss author Johanna Spiri published the beloved children's novel Heidi in what year? And you have a 30-year window.
Oh, I should know this. 1876. I don't know.
If you paid a contractor to come on site to your office and provide adjustments for your employees, what form would you provide them for their tax filing records in January of the following year?
1099.
How many hours prior to giving birth to your youngest child were you teaching a training course at BKX?
Within 48.
That's it. Whew. All right, how you feeling here?
Terrible.
Oh, you kind of stole my thunder on that last question when you did your intro, but we'll come back to that. Let's start from the top and let's see how you did. Now, if you've listened to us, you know getting even 2 right is probably good for us. So,
Well, I figure it's a good day for your listeners to feel better about themselves. So,
you probably did better than you think. All right. So, first one, what amount did the IRS increase the standard deduction for married couples filing jointly in 2025? You said 30,000. You are absolutely correct. 30,000. I don't do taxes either. And the only reason I threw this question out there is we talked about this in our last episode. So I was hoping
I didn't get a chance to listen to the last one yet. No.
Well, we know exactly what you're doing as soon as we're done here today.
That's 100% right there.
Yeah. All right. Good work. And we're off to a fast start. On average, how many feathers are in a turkey's tail fan? I forgot your answer. It was a lot. 1,000.
It's in there. 100.
100. Okay. It's actually 18. Is what they have out there. Just like the main feathers out there getting to be
I have not gotten
Thanksgiving.
close enough to one to test.
Yeah. There was actually a story that went national that there was a turkey sitting in the middle of our road and it was probably only a mile away. And there was a police officer that was like trying to move it off. And it said, he's getting irritable and coming and pecking at my car. And it like went national that this guy was trying to get the turkey off the road. Never know what you're going to see here in Wisconsin.
That was a turkey protest.
Yes, right. All right. Within 50, how many joints does the human body have? Said 50. I was surprisingly a lot of differing opinions on this, but 350. And I talk about this because your firm is focused on chiropractors, right? Which are all about the joints. And I think it's really dependent. Do you like consider like the little finger joints and the points in your toes and all of that? So I was surprised to see that number as well. And it was like, some people said 200, some people said 400, but the most I could come up with, or the most often answer, was 350 joints. Who knew? No.
Heidi, how did you stumble into chiropractors?
Well, I had headaches every single day when I was a kid, and I thought that was just normal. And then after I got in a car accident, I went to see my chiropractor, and I stopped having headaches within I think it was the second visit. And I was like, this is life-changing. So then when I started my business, I hate science. So I was like, I definitely could never be a chiropractor, but I could give back somehow. So that's what I did.
Nice.
I love picking niches. It's always fun to hear people's origin stories.
So I picked my niche from the get-go, and I did not get my first chiropractor client until 4 years into my business.
I mean, it's better than Jeremy because he's like, what do I specialize in? Not making money. Great. I'm going that route. Nonprofits.
100%. But yeah, that's an interesting story too. It took you 4 years to get a client in your niche. And I know we all have like long journeys trying to get marketing and trying to connect with our target clients. right? So I think that's great advice for people out there is like niche right away, start doing what you love and everything will go. And how many, if you don't mind, like about how many chiropractic clients do you have now?
It's about half of
Yeah.
my client load. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I had another niche that kind of found me in the meantime, but
Taxidermy?
Formaldehyde? I love it.
no, if so, I'd probably know how many feathers are in a turkey's tail.
Fair point.
Right. Good call. Next one. Within 2%, what percent of small businesses fail due to cash flow issues? So you said 2.
Is it 8?
It's 82. And I took this, and I'm guessing like you have all sorts of skill in marketing and things, but I'm guessing you're probably not doing your own posts. There was a post out there that you had on LinkedIn that said 82% of small businesses fail due to cash flow issues.
Yeah.
So just going to throw it out there. And that's
Yeah.
good. Like, I love it. And Tyler and I will geek out about this all the time. Be like, he'll like contact me and be like, hey, I saw this. That was awesome. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about because I do not have my fingers into that pie right now. So like, obviously cash flow, a huge issue, right? With clients. How do you at your firm, whether it's chiropractic or your other niche or any other ones, how do you try to like bring that to the forefront and make sure that it's getting monitored and they're informed pretty well on their cash flow process or situation?
So the problem with chiropractors is they are insurance based a lot of times. Well, you have cash practices and then you have insurance. And so their problem is getting paid because a lot of times they'll bill insurance, which could, of course, take months to get money back.
Right.
Their biggest issue is just retaining enough because they're very profitable usually. So just kind of managing those profits instead of letting them all fly back out the window is typically the kind of conversations that we have. Like, how do you plan for that stretch of not getting your money from insurance and that kind of thing?
They have to build in their own buffer, their own float.
Yep. Yeah, and
to be
they're
able to
usually
survive.
really good at savings, though. They're very proactive people, I found, and so they like to see a savings account there. And usually the question, instead of cash flow issues, the question usually ends up being, how much should I be saving? Like, what is enough? Because they just keep hoarding it in, and then you're like, well, you can at least pay yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. And maybe take it out of that 2% savings account and find a 5% money market or something.
Yep.
Yeah. I could see
Invest
that.
in accounting podcasts, maybe.
Yes. If you're
Throwing it out there.
If you're interested in investing in Accountable, please come now.
There you go.
I love it. Let's move on to the next one. So you attended Pensacola Christian College. How many stations of the cross were there? I grew up a Catholic kid too. I would have had no idea on this answer either. There are 14 stations of the cross. Who knew? I can
Cool
picture
facts.
them in our church when I was growing up. There was like a little motif or whatever to each one on all the walls. But yeah, I never would have got that either. Next one, accountants working with healthcare organizations need to be concerned with PHI, and that is personal health information. Also can be a Greek letter called phi. I pronounced that wrong. What letter of the Greek alphabet is that? I think you said 4. Gave you within 5, it was 24. It's the 24th letter of that. And I'm going to come back to that one. Talking to the next one, according to HIPAA, how many years are patient records required to be retained? Said 7. I'm going to give you that one. I think we should have gave you a window of at least a year. It's 6, according to HIPAA. But like, that is my take on everything. Because even if you tell them 7 on everything, right? Keep it for
You're
7
safe.
years.
Yeah. I always say keep it for 7. And then when it comes to tax stuff, I'm like, just keep it for 10 to be extra safe.
Yeah. But obviously, like HIPAA laws would apply for chiropractor work. What do you have to do specifically within your firm and working with them to make sure that you're staying HIPAA compliant and all the things?
Well, first of all, we don't touch on it. We just say QuickBooks and Xero, they are not HIPAA compliant. So keep all patient information out of them. And so what we end up doing is we request report only, like view only access, of course, but sometimes either the software isn't built for that or they don't know how to do it or whatever. So we just get reports and bring in the balances. So some people do it once a week. We do it once a month typically, and just bring in those balances to make the clearing account match. And I've only had to sign like one BAA or whatever it's called, where you are going to say, you're not going to do anything with this information. But it usually, all I need to see are the reports. So even if the software gives me more access, like I have no interest in going and checking it out.
Yeah, that's cool. And I had a thought with our last question, and it just came back to me while you were talking. So when you talked about how it's important for them to save because there's a lot of float when they're getting their billing and insurance adjustments, is it with chiropractors, do you see it a lot where like they're billing out this amount and then insurance decreases it, right? That they're actually going to get paid with this. How do you manage the revenue and receivables when you're billing an amount and then really know you're going to get paid this amount and then you actually get paid? Like, how are you managing that process?
So again, it goes back to we only do it once a month. And this is part of the reason why we do it once a month. So as the deposits come throughout the month, we put them in a clearing account. Yeah. And then once the month is closed for that practice, we'll go through and every software they have has the reports where you can pull collections, you can pull sales, and the collections will show like what money was received from patients. And it'll also show what funds were received from insurance and then what adjustments were made by the insurance. So we just kind of create it all as a journal entry and adjust it all at one time.
We may have to talk sometime because we work with a couple of free clinics and I think we're struggling with this a little bit. It'd be like, wait, why is this here? And there's still receivables out there, but it's, God. Yeah. It's
and then you pull in the chiropractors that have those care plans where you have people paying ahead of the appointments. And it's
unearned revenue.
And yes, and then the EHRs are not ready for like accounting. They're not set up for accounting. They're set up for the medical side and all of that. And so you're trying to pull all these different reports and you're trying to get them to match. And it can be a nightmare. It can be a real nightmare.
Jeremy, we should reconsider how we work with our vendors where they can, tell us the invoice and then we just say, well, we're only covering this much. I like this idea.
I wish that's how life worked.
Yeah, the insurance company's got this figured out. Well, we're only going to pay this.
Yeah.
How do we get on that plan?
I think we're going to have to noodle that a little bit and figure that piece out. Oh, 100%.
I think you have to be immune to a few things first.
We're ready to pick up the good fight.
Next one, Swiss author Johanna Spiri published Heidi in what year? Gave you a 30-year window. You said 1878. You only needed 2 years. It was 1880. Wow, I'm impressed. That book is so old. Wow, and like still with the like musical and movies and all that stuff, pretty still beloved.
I think I'm uncultured because I don't know about this.
Oh,
you don't know about Heidi?
Usually, when people meet me, well, especially when I was a kid, whenever people would meet me, they were like, "Were you named after the movie?" And we didn't grow up with the TV, so the answer was always like, "Never seen the movie, but I've read the books over and over." There's actually there's the main Heidi one, and then there's Heidi Grows Up, and then there's Heidi's Kid or Heidi's Children. There's like 3 different Heidis. It's kind of interesting.
Is that like a lot like Rosemary's Baby, or is that a different genre?
I don't know Rosemary's Baby.
Never mind. All right, we're going horror film genre. I'm going to stay out of this one, Jeremy. You run the show. I provide no value in this conversation.
You probably were better. I was going to be like, is there like a Heidi Goes to Rehab? Or...
It's like the Ernest series. Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah.
Ernest Goes to Prison. Yeah.
I love it. We're hoping for the whole ride. Heidi's hospice experience. All right, no. All right.
Not yet, at least.
You're ill. All right. Number 9 was a chiropractor comes on site to your office and provides adjustments for your employees. What form would you give them at the end of the year? It said 1099. I knew coming into these last 2 questions, I had some hard ones out there. So I'm like, I got to be nice to Heidi, at least give some decent ones out here. These are hard, man. Wow. Cool. And then last one, again, you stole some of my thunder, but how many hours after giving birth to your youngest child were you teaching a course at BKX training? Whatever you said was right. I think it was 48 hours. I just remember being there and like people told me, I think one day I woke up like, hey, Heidi had her baby. And I was like, wasn't she just here? So like of those 48 hours, how many hours were you driving home? And then how much like just, I don't want all the gory details, but I need to know more of the story because I don't think I ever got it because I felt like trying to bother you about it when you had a 2-day-old was probably not the best idea.
So I rode home with Ben and Kelly actually Friday because I was supposed to fly from Orlando to North Dakota for my best friend's wedding.
Yeah.
And as it got closer to BKX, I was like, I'm not feeling like I'm going to make it all the way to North Dakota and back. So I rode back with Ben and Kelly, and we got home Friday night at like, I think it was 7:30ish. And I started contractions then, and I was like, we're not doing this. I'm too tired tonight. So I went to bed and then woke up at 5:30, and we were in labor. But I have my kids at home, so it was really easy because we were just here and pretty. I mean, by the 4th one, it's like, what are we doing?
I never doubt that there is a superior sex and women are it, that it was like, nope, I'm in labor. This isn't happening. I'm going to go to bed. And it's nothing. I've had 4. Like, what do you guys like? That was just an amazing story all the way around. So I don't know our score. I think it was 4, 5. That's way better than we typically do. These were hard questions. So 5 out of 10, probably in the upper echelon of some of our respondents here. Nice work.
Jeremy, guess what?
What?
Exciting news for our listeners. We've hit another milestone, and I think it's even going to lend us a little credibility. Did you hear about what we're going to be able to offer soon?
I did not.
By listening to Unaccountable going forward, our listeners are going to be able to earn CPE for every episode of Unaccountable they digest. Yes, digest, because it takes a whole lot of stomach acid and or heartburn to get through this. But log into that Earmark CPE app, take a quiz, and you can earn 1 hour of CPE credit for listening. How awesome is that?
Fantastic. Look at us. We talked about at the end of one of the episodes, we may be doing some good things here.
Fantastic work. Well, hop on into that app and let us know what you think of our show.
Thank you. I was very nervous about it.
And with that noise, we get to go to halftime, which is the spot in our episode where we head over to the sidelines and take a nice little bite out of an app snack. And today, we're taking a bite out of, Heidi, your favorite tool, I would argue. I'm going to guess.
Oh, yeah.
A Keepful. For those that aren't exposed to the wonders, the greatness that is Keepful, give us the lowdown. What is the program? Why should we care?
So our tagline is marketing automation for bookkeepers by bookkeepers. I feel like that kind of sells us a little bit short because people are like, what is marketing automation? And so I would say if you wanted to distill it down, like most bookkeepers, we grow our firms by word of mouth referrals, right? Mm-hmm. And that's great. It means you're doing a good job. It means people like what you're doing, etc. But the problem is you can't really scale and you can't control you can't throttle your income unless you're like creating a wait list or something, right? And so if you want to take more control of your marketing, that's when you need to step in and you need to have a system. And having a system that you build from scratch takes a long time and is a major headache. And so what we've done is we've put the major lift work, we've done the major work for you so that you can step in and just kind of roll it with your brand and your company. That's what we mean by marketing automation, is where the marketing is already set up and ready for you to roll with it.
So what do I get when I sign up for Keepful? Like, do I get like everything set up me for a website, for email campaigns, for carrier pigeons, for men standing on corners with billboards attached to their chest? Like, what are we getting here out of the box?
While the pigeons would be cool, I am not a pigeon keeper.
Okay. Well, we cross that one off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few things we won't do, and pigeons is one of them. But no, we put it basically in three buckets. We have the brand building aspect, because there's a whole lot of pillars to marketing, but there's a few main ones. And one of them is your brand building, and that's your website. That's all online presence, landing pages, funnels, email campaigns, social media, those kinds of things. And then there's the automation side of things. So following up, making sure the follow-up is consistent. Your communication is the same across the board, whether somebody enters last year or next year, you're not kind of all over the place with it. So you just want to be consistent in that you're building your brand, you're following up, you're communicating, and that's kind of all. And then obviously the tech side of things, because we are in an age of AI and change. And sometimes that's kind of hard to do on your own. You have to pretty much have a degree in learning all these things. Right. And so having a team that's at your side there to help is really where Keepful comes in. And we help to streamline your tech and bring in that AI where needed and all that fun stuff.
What I love about it too is, like, I think pause, like, shouldn't be surprised here, but the Keepful website itself is fantastic, right? And the features one, it goes through like all the things that you could be paying for, right? Between email marketing and texting and funnels and surveys and website and tech integration and all that stuff. And it shows how much those are for other options that you'd have to kind of all Frankenstein together to have the things that Keepful provides. And like, no secret, or maybe it's a secret, like we use Keepful too, love it. My marketing manager, a big fan too. And I know that you've helped us personally several times where we're like, hey, we can't quite figure this out. And that's been really helpful. But just to have all of those things in one spot, I think is super helpful.
Jeremy, I am curious though, now that you use Keepful, what's your favorite like automation or tool or funnel like that you got set up? Because there's some out of the box that blew my mind.
I seriously gave Keepful to my marketing manager and don't know what's behind the curtain. So I'm going to have to bulk on this one. I'm not sure. Like, I think we have built out a lot of from when they sign up to a consultation, a lot of the follow-up process and emails there. That's probably the one I know the best. So I'm going to have to go with that's my favorite one, but there's probably way cooler ones than that out there than I even know.
I personally love the one where you guys had this almost like out of the box ready to go back when I signed up, which was the moment someone submits a form on the website. If it's within business hours, it will call me and say, hey, you have someone that just submitted a form, push a button to call them right now. And if it's not business hours, it will call me the next business hours and say, hey, so-and-so submitted a form. So we can be right on top of it. Like someone's in buying state of mind, let's get them on the phone now. I thought that was easily one of the coolest things you guys had built in there. I would have never thought of that on my own.
And you know what's really cool now is we just released voice AI, where you can, if somebody calls your phone, you can have this voice that you've set up. Like there's 4 different voice options. You can have it to where it answers and it'll ask them like a set number of questions. Obviously, it's all prompted and scripted and everything. And then it will filter them out and you'll only get the leads that you're ready to talk to or that are ready to talk to you. It helps with like spam calls and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a pretty fun thing that they just released. We just released this last quarter.
So, like, could I have it, like, ask them, like, are you an outsourced bookkeeping firm that's offering me cheap overseas labor? If so, press 1. And when they press 1, it says, like, take off, hoser.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. I mean, don't know if it'd use that language. I mean, I guess you could prompt it to, but yeah.
I want it to, you know, as northern Midwestern rude can get. That's what I want. I want that line between, like, slightly unpleasant and slightly offensive. Yeah, that's where I want to live.
I assume
the world's your oyster.
Yeah, I assume the AI voice is like Youper and like Sean Connery, and like these would be the great ones, like good ones that you'd pick and be like, I want Sean Connery.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think there's 3 women's voices, and I've only played with one, but there's like 3 women's voices and 1 male voice. So you're a little bit limited so far, but I'm sure that we'll be getting more out later.
The day will come when I will have Scooby-Doo answering my prospects.
I love it. The one other thing I like too is that's on here that is creating courses, right? So like we've talked about that. We have a couple other the bookkeeper owners that we're kind of talking about how we're doing that ourselves. And I have Keepful ready to do it. The whole bottleneck is this guy, right? I just need to start recording things to really just do specific trainings on nonprofits and bookkeeping things. So ready to do that. I think that's awesome. Can I ask a super transactional question?
Of course.
All right. This might be like the one thing that like nobody else resonates with, but like, let's say we have this group of people and we want to do, because you can also host like course calls and things like that through Keepful with that. How do you segment the people? Like you want them paying for that service that they're like active, that they can sign up for that and other people cannot, but they're all like purchasers of your program and can still be into the course?
I would probably do it as tagging so that when you're sending out communications for emails and that kind of thing, you would just send to that tag group where they're all still in the course thing. And then we do have a community where you could have different communities. So there's like a VIP community and then a regular community. So that's another way you could do it. But I'd probably just do it based on tagging and kind of just permissions.
Yeah.
Only Jeremy would bring tech support for one of his tools onto this show so he could get advice on how to implement. Like, you know, most people call the support line. Jeremy's like, no, we'll just have him on the podcast so I can get some support on this.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We're good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I said the same thing to Patricia this week, our marketing manager. I'm like, Heidi's going to be on. If you got anything you need to ask, I will ask her live. But no, we're doing pretty good with it. But anything else? I don't know.
I'll leave it to you and your questions. You're running this one. I love it.
That was most of what I would talk. Anything else you think, Heidi, in Keepful that we should highlight or think you would like to talk about? And then we can kind of bridge into that.
Well, what I was wanting to see what you guys were saying about your favorites, because I think that's where the power is. There's so much that can be done. And I say this a lot because people will ask me, they're like, there's a big learning curve, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to Keepful. But I think when you touched on like how many different softwares it replaces, we could spend our time like getting all these different softwares. And you spend a month learning Calendly, and you spend a month learning MailChimp, and you spend a month learning this and a month learning that. And when you add it all up, now you're at 6 or 7 months, right? And now you're trying to figure out how to patch them together. And when you call MailChimp support, they're like, nope, that's a Calendly thing. Or you call Calendly support, and they're like, nope, that's that thing, you know? And they keep passing you off, and you don't get the help or the support that you need. And while you might spend a month or 2 learning Keepful, you have the end-to-end support is where we shine the most, is our support. We do unlimited email support, and then a lot of times we'll just hop on like a video and record a video and send it over. That's my favorite because you're trying to send a response and you're going to type this incredibly long response out, or you could just record a video and show people how to do it. And so our support is probably where we shine the most. And since it is end to end, we can support you the whole way across. So yeah, you might be spending a little bit more time learning, but you're learning one thing and you can do all the things in that one thing without trying to jump all these different screens and accounts and logins and all that fun stuff. So it is mighty robust.
And like a tight set of yoga pants, everybody likes some good support for their ends, right? All right, that in the tighties thing. All right, cool.
And one thing I will add that I absolutely love about that program. So Jeremy, you talked about courses, right? Like that's where I house that Excel course I do and some other stuff. But also the first week of working at my company, there are full days of learning our norms, processes, procedures, softwares, tools. Every employee, when they start, goes through a course that we built in Keepful. I don't have to go pay for Podia or Kajabi or some other software to run that. It's just easy to set up in there. It's a free course only to my staff. It's wonderful.
I love seeing what people have done not that I go and snoop through accounts, but I love seeing we have a Facebook group where people share, and we also have a power lunch. And I love seeing people's ideas come to life, because there's things in there that like I've never even thought to do in my business. And somebody comes up with this grand idea and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, cool. I agree. And one other thing when you're talking about too, I love like the metrics, right, that you have out there. Like this one is, you can do some of the A/B testing and all of that and see where things are coming from and what is doing better, much like you'd get with like Google Ads or any of that other stuff. So you can kind of test things out. So super cool things. So Heidi, if they want to check out Keepful, where would they go and come and check it out?
They're just going to go to your site. They're going to go to the unaccountable.co/Keepful, right? I think that's what we said.
/Keepful/sponsors. We'll have both working. It'll be great. And that website, built in Keepful.
Ta-da!
I love it. That was a full circle moment.
Oh,
it was.
That totally coming for a full circle. Great. Heidi, anything else? How can people reach out to you if they're chiropractors or other people in your bookkeeping business as well? Or how do we get in contact with you?
That link, when you visit our site, that has a direct email to us. Yours truly is usually the one in there, as well as Kelly G. So that's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Heidi Ryder. I like to post everything through Keepful on there. And one of your questions actually today came from there. But yeah, LinkedIn or on our site is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for bringing yourself down to our level and spending some time with us. We'll definitely have you back and keep us informed with all the new things coming out of Keepful, because we're both going to be invested and interested.
Of course. I love it. And I like that I get to talk to y'all's teams. I'm usually on a weekly basis, one or the other of y'all's teams I get to chat with. So I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Till next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. Good to see you. I'll have to stalk you more often. Let's chat.
Yes. Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Jeremy, another great guest, but back to you and I, two-man show. We don't have the budget to bring a guest for full episodes, man. Like maybe one day.
Yeah.
But as you know, I've been doing a lot more in the tax planning space, spending time with clients. And as I'm doing a lot of these tax plans, I'm realizing people don't even know what they should or want to be doing with their money long term. You know, there's always a question, should we put money in a Roth or an HSA or an IRA and whatnot? But they're like, well, what is my end goal? And that's where I'm like, what is your end goal? Like, do you not know this? So Jeremy, I want to play a game with you that I'm calling When I'm 64. And partly just so we can have Ian drop a nice little riff to Will You Still Need Me? Will You Still Feed Me? When I'm 64.
I'm going to say don't quit your day job, but I love it. Before you even start, like it sounds like they're asking you to make their goals for them. Like, people, we can't do that. We can't do that in your business. We can't do that at your nonprofit. We can't do that for you personally. You have to have what you want to do, even if it's loose guidelines. We can help sand off the rough edges of your goals, but you have to make them yourself. Ugh.
But that's where this game, I want to at least give us the framework to start saying, okay, client, you don't even know what your goals are. All right, how about this? Where do you want to be? And you know what? We'll tease through it from here. So, Jeremy, I'm going to ask you 6 questions about retirement, and we're going to see how well you do. You ready, sir?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first off, just to set some baselines, as of 2022, the Federal Reserve Board reported that the median 65-year-old in the U.S. has this much in their retirement account.
Ooh, I'm going to go $75,000.
I should have given you window. I'm going to say now that window was 25%. When in doubt, 25% window. But 200,000 in their retirement account. And that's the median. Now, it was like 647 grand for the average American, but they think super high net worth individuals were skewing that extremely high.
Yeah.
So the median, 200,000. Now, we're going to deep dive really quick through these first three questions, because this is going to open up the discussion. On average, how much does the S&P 500 grow? Has it grown over the last 30 years as a percentage? I'm going to give you a 5% window here. 8%. So over the last 30 years, how much has it grown?
8%.
It's just over 10% for the last 30 years. So you're well within that window. And if you adjust for inflation, they say it's like 8.2. I've got the article. We'll link to it. But essentially, let's say 8 to 10% is that number. So one last question, Jeremy, before we deep dive this, but simple math, 10%. If the median American were to live off just the growth in their retirement account each year, how much would they have to live off each year in retirement?
20,000.
Simple math. We're keeping it easy. But I want to drive this home. 200K in your bank account, and the S&P index grows at 200, and you want to leave it there. Just living off the growth is 10K, and that's not even adjusting for inflation. That's just you live off what's there, but your spending power goes down over time. That's not enough money. And so many of our clients, they're not thinking about later, or they're thinking, hey, my business is my retirement plan, which, oh my gosh, I will get on this soapbox and talk about this all day. That's a bad idea. You need to be doing other things outside of that, and maybe we'll hit on that at the end. But Jeremy, we're going to do some reverse math, because I don't know about you, but I feel like the average American should be shooting for, 60, 100, 120, 150, somewhere in there, at least for their retirement. Maybe you have your house paid off, and so 60 grand goes a lot further. It also depends where you're going to live. If you're in, middle of nowhere, South Dakota, your money might go further than in LA. So people need to figure out what they want to do. So Jeremy, we're going to think through this entire thing, but we're going to say that, hey, if the economy is growing on 8%, let's say, because that's the adjusted for inflation, you want to be able to live off at least like 6% of your investment account. So that other 2 is still growing your investment account in your retirement, so it accounts for inflation at least. So we want to live off 6%. Well, that means if you have $1 million stocked away, you get to live off 60 grand a year. Now that sounds like a pretty great deal. So when we get into these next couple questions, I want to keep in mind that if someone wants to have 60,000 to live on in retirement, they need $1 million there by the time they retire. If they want 120, 180, double or triple that. I'm choosing easy numbers here.
Okay.
So first question for you, Jeremy, as we dive into these last three. A famous investing rule says that if you divide this number by the interest rate of your investment accounts, that is how many years it takes to double your money. So if the answer was like 10 and your interest rate was 5%, 2 years you would double your money. What is the actual number?
I feel like I've heard this, but I'm going to get way wrong. I'm going to go 72.
Wow, your subconscious knows something. The rule of 72. Yeah. So this says that if you were to take whatever your account is growing at and divide 72 by that number, you'll get a number of years. So 8% growth is going to be 9 years for you to double your money. So Jeremy, if we think about, you want to reverse engineer this, but I want to ask, if we're going to have $1 million in our account, and this is where I think the value out of this line of questioning comes, because I know you're like, Tyler, we're bookkeepers and accountants. We're not investment people, but I want to drive this home. How much should if you want to have $1 million in your retirement account at the age of 65, contributing $300 a month, how much would you need in that account at age 40? I'm going to give you within 20,000.
380,000.
Here's the magic. At 40 years old, you only need to have 100,000 saved away.
Really?
Like 100, 115. And that money will continue to double. And then as you add your $300 a month, you will get up to $1 million at age 65, which is the brilliance of all of this. Now, let's factor this in. Jeremy, if you were at age 50, then how much should you have in your retirement account?
Same rules. I'm putting in $300 a month.
Yep.
If you're age 50 to get there, it's got to be, it was only 100,000. It's got to be like 250,000.
So by age 50, if you keep that up, you would actually be at 300,000 already, because not only are you doubling the money that was there, but you're adding that $300. Yeah. So this adds up over time. So you could start contributing at age 25, $300 a month. You would get to that 1,000 in your account by 40, 300,000 by 50, and you're good. $300 a month. If you didn't have anything in your bank account until the age in your retirement account, and you started at the age of 50 from zero, how much would you have to contribute a month to get $1 million in there by the time you're 65? Within 20%.
2,500.
It was close. It was close. $3,000 a month. And this just brings home the point. How do we get our clients to start stocking that money away, or now putting it into a traditional IRA, putting it into that Roth? I think it's huge. And so maybe this isn't as much of a tax game as I was excited about, but I feel like it's my friggin' public service announcement, because I'm talking to clients that are in their 50s and they have 50K stocked away. And it's just not doing it for them. Jeremy, I don't know, but like just knowing that, okay, if the ultimate goal is you want to have $1 million in there, you need to have, 50K by 35, 175K by 45, and like 450,000 by 55. Do you think most people are keeping up with that pace?
I don't think they are, but I think like it's not widely known, and I think we're getting better, right? Like most of the retirement plans now have a opt out instead of an opt in. Like you're automatically signed up for it when you go on to a employer. So I think that's a good start. But no, I completely agree with you. And I was sitting here because I'm a nerd doing head math. You talked about $300 a month going in there. If you make $50,000 a year, that's 7% of your check, right? And that should be, again, my public service announcement. If you get a raise your contribution in your retirement account, right? Or like get your student loans out of the way so you can do it another time. So like just use your money in the right way. So I always said that, like all my friends that I like, I want you to be able to retire when I do, which is going to be early, hopefully, because my retirement asset is this wonderful podcast account, which I believe you told me I can't rely on. But yeah, do it early, get started right away, even coming out of college, like live like you're still in college for 10 years and you could sock a whole ton away and then make the trajectory so much steeper.
I love it. I mean, really, for the final soundbite, and Jeremy, I'll get off my high horse with this, but this was just my awakening for people. If you want $1 million in there by the time you retire so that you can just live the life of luxury, Jeremy, buying all your Beanie Baby fan fiction novels, I would say you need to be giving, you could start at age 25 and do $300 a month to get to $1 million. You could start at age 35 and do $700 a month from there on out. You wait till 45 to get started, you're doing $17,500 a month. And if you're waiting till 55 to start funding that account, you're doing $5,500 a month, which is more than most people's mortgages, and you're still probably not going to make it in time. So get those clients contributing now and often.
Yeah, completely agree. And that brings us to a winner and loser of the week. Since we're talking about making money anyway, I sure hope we are the week after the election that you had some in the market last week where pretty much every single positive or index went up at least 5%, give or take, given the results of the election. And I don't care if you're happy or sad, you should be happy if you had money in the market because your portfolio should have jumped significantly, and now your trajectory to retirement is even easier.
I will say, remember back in August when there was that big dip and I said, like, I threw all my HSA funds at that moment because, like, the economy was down? Dude, it has me up 17% since August because of all of that junk.
And the thing, and again, we're getting a little bit of an investor high horse here. The thing that scares me is like, it's been up for a long time, right? And I was just listening to something where Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, now has so much money just in cash that he could buy like the whole Coca-Cola Corporation and probably 100 of the top 200 companies just with the cash that they have in Berkshire Hathaway right now. He's just a smart guy, and if he's keeping a whole bunch of his money out of the market right now, I just wonder if things are going to swing pretty far the other way. And they will sooner or later, but how soon is that?
Yeah. I mean, the market's down, it's always going to come back up. If it's up, it's always going to come back down. How do you time it?
I try not to. Just keep investing, spread it out, you'll be fine. All right, and then let's get to our loser of the week. When we drop this, we're going to be a week away from Thanksgiving. I'm going to say, as we alluded to earlier, if you're a turkey, this is not your favorite time of year. Take your 18 tail feather fan and get the hell out of Dodge to make sure that you live another day. But listeners, go ahead, stop. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, make sure you tell them what's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah. But listeners, We are. Oh yeah, it is tomorrow when we do this.
Yeah, when this drops.
Days are hard, but listeners, don't you worry. We have a Thanksgiving treat for you coming tomorrow. Our first live episode where we are going to throw down with two amazing guests in a live Unaccountable. So mark off your calendar. And who are our guests again, Tyler?
We have the formidable, the legend, Don Brolin, and also Nick Basha, both joining us, putting them head to head. It's going to be epic, and it's either going to be the most amazing thing you ever said or the most glorious train wreck. And either way, why miss that?
Everyone loves watching a good train wreck or listening to one, right? We should probably make a train wreck clip that we just have it in there and throw it around. I love it.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, that's all the time we have for this week, especially because we're supposed to go talk to our overlords at Earmark right now. We're actually a minute late, so we should probably run. Until next week, sir, get ready for the Thanksgiving Throwdown.
Will do. Hey Tyler, my staff has asked me to get better knowledge and training in spreadsheets and Excel. Any ideas?
Well, yeah, dude, I'm a little offended. You go to tylerauto.com, we have a course on intermediate Excel formulas. Just have them go over there and use the promo code Unaccountable for 50% off.
Nice. Gonna do that. Thank you, sir.